Previously on the Crawford Chronicles. I'm gonna go Homer Chris. I'm gonna go with the Astro sweep. Just to go ahead go ahead and cement. I'm gonna go in with my first pick and go ahead and solidify that last place.
Thank y'all for tuning in to the Crawford Chronicles. I see that our guy Homer Chris has made his triumphant return and has included a clip from last week's predictions. But I'm one of your hosts, PK, and as always, Homer Chris is with us. Bryles is doing some fam stuff this weekend, so wish him the best. Have fun. We'll see you in a few days. So, Chris, good little, intro video you did. Yes, you did correctly predict the Boston Red Sox series. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's not very often, as we saw by the records last year, that whenever I predict something, it comes true. But when it's a sweep, it's always good to get the predictions right. Yeah, man, I'm excited to be back. I've been kind of busy with some other things going on outside of the podcast and stuff. But man, hey, just like a lot of Astros fans, I mean, I'm pretty excited the way the season started out. Our boys are on a 5-game winning streak. They just got done smacking around the Red Sox. I mean, but besides that, man, we got a big series coming up with the Athletics, even though the records may not indicate it. But I mean, if you've been keeping up with this team, at least for the last 4 seasons, I think all Astros fans know that regardless of what the A's record is, they always seem to give us a tough time. So outside of this epically long introduction, PK, how's your week going?
It's good, man. It's good. Been busy. It's getting used to doing the recaps, but it's pretty fun, man. So let's get into this thing. We went Monday and Tuesday and we talked about the first 2 games and we've kind of already recapped it, right? But you scored 8 runs on Monday, 9 on Tuesday. I mean, you're beating the brakes off this team, right? And so, I mean, you faced Crochet on Wednesday. We're going to get into that, but you faced Ranger Suarez, which was their big free agent signing over the winter. You handled him. He ended up going 4 1/3, 7 hits, 4 earned, right, and 2 home runs on Monday. And then you had Brian Bello you faced on Tuesday. You handled business then, right? Offense is 17 runs in 2 games. Like, let's just be real. Let's be honest. If you go back to last season, if we scored 7+ runs in one game, you could almost take it to the bank that the following game we were going to score 2 runs. Like that was a thing, right? And you've come out, you had 4 games in a row. I think it was 4 games in a row. You're scoring 8+ runs, right? I mean, you can go 5 games in a row of 6+ runs. So we can go into Wednesday. So let's start with that. Wednesday, getaway game. You got Crochet on the hill. We got Crochet on the hill, but before we get into that, did you get to see any of LMJ's turn back the clock on Tuesday?
Yeah, was that Tuesday? I saw bits and pieces of it.
Sorry, that was Monday.
And then
that was Monday.
Or was it Monday? I mean, I saw bits and pieces of it. I mean, I was the director on duty. I mean, so I couldn't see a lot of it. I had a lot of people coming up asking me questions. We had like a crap ton of little league games going on. So I did go back and watch the highlights, and man, I mean, everybody pretty much nailed it as far as turn back the clock on Lance McCullers. I mean, but you know what? Like I said, man, good for him. Good for him. I'm sure that if any pitcher needed to come out and pretty much set the tone and dominate over 7 innings, it needed to be Lance McCullers. As far as like, I mean, I'm sure, like I said, we joke around. A lot of the other Astros fans joke around about him being a barista and stuff like that. I mean, but I'm pretty sure like all that stuff is probably in his head as well. As far as like, okay, I need to go out there. I'm healthy. Represent, and represent. He did. So I just hope that he can build off that in Sacramento or wherever the A's are playing these days.
Vegas, Oakland, Sacramento, all of it. All right, let's get into Wednesday. Wednesday, you had Burrows on the hill. You're going up against Garrett Crochet. We know We know how Barrow's first outing was. It was not what we expected, not what we were seeing in spring. So you were really hoping that he had a bounce back outing. Um, and I would say, like overall, I mean, like overall was pretty good. 5 innings, 2 runs, right? 6 Ks. He had some walks. He had 3 walks. So like I would, it's definitely an improvement from the first outing he had. But I still think you're looking for more out of Burrows as being your number 2 guy.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Boston pretty much had the same game plan, at least out of the first 2 innings that the Angels did. They attacked him early in the counts. But I mean, like the biggest thing that I saw that I liked is after those first 2 innings, he really kind of calmed down. I don't know if it was just that first game that he threw was the jitters or whatever it was. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot on that kid's shoulders right now, as him especially coming out and making being the number two. But he definitely battled. I mean, like there's a couple of innings that were kind of squirrely that he got out of. I mean, so the fact that he gave you five and some change. I mean, I'm good with that too. I mean, again, this is still a young pitcher who's pretty much coming close as just numbers wise, games started wise of a full major league season. I mean, so like I said, as long as he can continue to go out there, battle, again, I'll take five and some change, 2 earned runs, any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I will. I will. I think being though he's your number 2 guy, right? I think you kind of expect him to be in that 6 inning, 7 inning. Maybe not 7 all the time, right? But 5 2/3, 6 1/3, somewhere in there. Um, because you end up going through your bullpen, which was well rested because of McCullers on Monday and because of Hunter Brown on Tuesday, right? So you kind of could afford for him to only go 5 in that particular situation. But like I said, I think it's a stepping stone in the right direction for him, right? To your point, he settled down after that first inning, and then it was pretty nails after that. Um, and then you had another blue ball outing, another blue ball goose egg, right? Another one, right? Brian King, Tang, Abreu. Tang gave up a run. Abreu gave up a bomb in the top of the ninth. I was driving home. I was listening to that, and then I think I
Oh
texted
yeah, yeah.
I
I was
texted
gonna
our
say,
group.
yeah, I got the text. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I got the text. I was like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that can't
yeah.
be good.
So look, he buckled down after that, but like what we did, what the radio guys were saying, and I'm sure, and gone back and looked at the videos and the clips. His velo looks to be up, right, from when it was his first 2 outings. So that's a good sign, right, that he can get his fastball back up to the speeds that we're accustomed to, so that he can use that for his off speed and his slider, which is devastating. Um, but you had and on the Wednesday game, Crochet only lasted 5 innings. 5 innings, 4 runs, 5 runs, 4 of them earned. He did have 7 Ks. Correa hit a 3-run bomb to kind of just, not put it out of reach, but put a pretty good distance in, or in between them and Boston. And that comes on the heels of Crochet burying a pitch into Jordan's ribs, which I don't know if I've ever seen Jordan like as pissed as he was after getting hit in the ribs.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy. I think I'm kind of honestly surprised they're still pitching to him. Right? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like, I was just glad that one, thank God it didn't break anything
Yeah.
on Jordan. And I mean, like, and that's where you're kind of seeing this lineup really start to mesh together because you get the Jordan get hit by a pitch, immediately Correa comes up, backs him up with a 3-run jack. I mean, so I mean, and we're starting to see a lot more of that this season. Whether it's where we never saw that, last season. You brought up the runs. This morning I went super nerded out and I pulled up the Astros stats from 2025 through the last through their first 7 games. In 2025, they scored 17 runs in the first 7 games. This year, they're at 45. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
like it makes things a lot easier when you're scoring almost 3 times, the runs as you scored last season. But yeah, I mean, like like this lineup, I don't know what's going on as far as like, is it really the new hitting regime? Altuve's got 8 walks. I mean, I think the stat on Altuve was the last time he had, like, it wasn't until like April 29th that he had seven
Yeah.
walks, and he's already got 8. but they're really like they're really reminding me of that period of Astros teams where it's like, man, any inning they can put, 6 or 7 on you, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, like, and they really got a hold. They really got a hold of Crochet, and that's to
Mhm.
me was probably the most surprising. Because like, I mean, Balo has the possibility to be a good pitcher down the line. He's still pretty young. I mean, Ranger Suarez. I mean, he's had a handful of pretty decent seasons, which is why he got the contract he got. Crochet is a bona fide ace, perennial Cy Young candidate every single year, and they touched him up for 5 and chased him out
Mhm.
pretty early. I mean, so and then they get the bullpen, I mean, so and that's what the old Astros, during the prime of this run did is that they would go in there, work the counts, get that starting pitcher out by the 5th inning, and then just feast on the bullpen.
Yeah, dude, and I was thinking about it, I was thinking about that. I forget what game it was, and it was, 17, maybe 18, hell, it could have been 19, and I would always remember turning on the game, maybe not late, but, like, late in the 1st inning, and we're already up 1, 2 runs, and I'm like, "God dang," like, I already missed, like, Springer home run or whatever it was, but you're right, man, like, this offense, like, reminds me of that 17 to, like, 21, 22, those 5 years where, like, they're just putting up runs and they're being pretty selective. I think with Altuve I think with Altuve accepting the more plate discipline, right? And showing and taking the lead on it, I feel like the team, if he's gonna do it, if Altuve is gonna do it, then the guys around him in that lineup are gonna follow suit, right? I mean, we talked about the walks a couple nights ago, just like you said, man. Like this dude, it was end of April last year before he had his 7th walk, and he's up here taking walks, right? And he had, I mean, and we hadn't even gotten to the night that he had 2 home runs, whatever night that was. That would have been on Tuesday, right? He had a walk, he had 2 bombs, 2 solos, but I mean, his power looks there. I mean, he is still ambushing some of the first pitches because there's been several games where he's jumped on that first pitch and hit us, got a single out to center. But for the most part, he's been pretty patient up there, and that is fantastic for our offense because that sets that inning in motion when you've got Jordan hitting behind him, Correa behind him. I mean, put in Paredes in between. It doesn't matter, right? Like, you got to face one of these guys with the runner on. And to go back to your point with Jordan, I mean, he could be the fact that these guys are still throwing him pitches is unbelievable. And it doesn't matter. I mean, he can hit the 440-foot bomb or he can hit a ground ball that's 114 off the bat, right? Like, and he's just he's just hitting everything that's being thrown to him right now. And I think I posted it on X one of the nights. Like, this is his revenge tour. This year is his revenge tour from last year, being injured, not being able to swing with the power that he's accustomed to. And so far, we're seeing the fruits of that tour, right? Because I mean, he is destroying the baseball. And so then you back it up with these last. We can include yesterday's outing with Burrows. These last 3 games of your starting pitching, Hunter Brown, he stepped up, and I say that loosely because he's your ace, right? But given that he only went 4 2/3 on his opening day start, let me get to his numbers real quick. Given that he went 4 2/3 on his opening day, he goes 6 innings, right, on Tuesday, right? 8 Ks, it's at 17 Ks in 10. I got to do math. 10
Oh
innings,
boy.
right?
Okay.
17 Ks and 10 2/3 innings, right? And so he's holding up his end of the bargain, like he's supposed to. But he went deeper into the game, and you only used Cody Bolton on Tuesday, which was another. He went 3 innings of 1 hit, 3 hit baseball, 5 Ks, right? And I talked to you about this today, or maybe one of the days, when I was like, dude, I didn't realize that this guy was signed last season, knowing that he wouldn't pitch, but he's come out on that debut and looked pretty badass, right? So when your starting pitching can go deep into a game, when you can have a bullpen that comes out and you use 1 to 2 relievers, you set yourself up for a rested bullpen going into an off day, right? You went through 4 guys yesterday just because Burrows only went 5. But now you're getting into this series with I almost said Oakland, with Sacramento, right? 3-game series with them. You can it's crazy because like you can throw the records out, right, with Oakland or Sacramento. They're 1-5 right now. We're 5-2. But we know how difficult and how a pain in the ass Sacramento, the A's can be. And they've actually got like a pretty damn good squad. They've got a bunch of young guys with uh Jack Wilson, right? Jack Wilson. We got Kurtz at first, Rooker, Langoliers, you got Lawrence Butler, and that's just the name of just a few off the top of the head, right? So they've got a good little offense that consistently gives Astros headaches.
Yeah, I mean, like, and what you're seeing right now, at least to wrap up the Boston series, is that you're seeing one how important Jordan Alvarez is to this lineup, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I mean, you saw last year. I mean, like with no Jordan in that lineup, none of these pitchers were scared, and
Yeah.
then that put all this pressure on like guys like Altuve, Pena, Paredes, all these guys that try to go try to overperform what out of their comfort zone, hacking out all these pitches that normally they would lay off. And then like the pitching too, like last season, they had to go into each game saying, "Hey, I can only give up maybe 2 runs."
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like one other hitter I want to focus on outside of Jordan is, man, how amazing it's been to see Christian Walker get out to
Oh,
the
dude.
start that he's gotten out to. I mean, because like again, you know if Jordan for whatever, I mean, it's hard to say if Jordan doesn't get on base right now. He's batting like almost 420, but if he doesn't get on base and you need another pick me up, and let's say Correa, is on base, then you have that ability to put a lot of faith into Christian Walker, who seems right now to be what is he leading the league in doubles, and he's leading the
Doubles.
team in RBIs. I mean, so he's on top of everything. But I mean, like I don't want to get too much ahead of it because we're about to segue into the A series coming up. I mean, but I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about all last season. When your hitting is struggling, your pitchers are going to press because they feel like they have to be perfect. Where I think everybody so far is a lot more relaxed because, like, you look at Burrows, he gives up 2 runs, game's tied 2-2. All of a sudden now it's 5-2 because the Astros offense picked him up. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that also allowed him to kind of relax and just be like, hey, we're on fire right now. I can just go out there and just throw. So yeah, I mean, everything about this team out, in the last 5 games has been. I mean, I don't think. I mean, outside of going 5 and or going 7-0, I don't think you really could complain about the way these last, the way the Astros have started the season.
No, for sure. And you can go back to the Javier start against the Angels, right, where they were down 6-0, 6-0,
Yeah,
and you're like, "Good Lord, here we go!" Right, and then before you know it, right, the Astros put a run together, put up a crooked number, and then they end up winning what 11-9, right?
yeah,
So last year we didn't see that. We did not see the offense pick up the pitching, right? Like perfect. That was a perfect point, right? Because the offense you had to, and not only did the pitching have to give up like 2 runs or less or 3 runs or less, you were doing it with Brandon Walter, Jason Alexander, or you had to do it with Brandon
yeah,
Walter, Jason Alexander, Colton Gordon. That's what you had to to hold that down, right? So it's awesome to see the offense. I mean, you can give a lot of credit. You can give a credit to the hitting regime, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, the coaches coach and the players have to execute, right? I mean, if you've played any kind of
absolutely.
sport in life, right? I mean, they can give you the ideas and the tips and all that, but you still have to go out and execute. And right now, the Astros offense is showing patience. They have timely hitting, and they're getting production from just about everybody except for like Yiner Diaz, really,
Yeah.
right? Just
He's the
about
guy.
everybody.
He's the only guy that hasn't shown up to the party yet.
That's
I mean,
correct.
hell, even Christian Vasquez is contributing.
Even
So
Vasquez went yard. Bryce Matthews went yard. Right. Loperfido. I mean, we're going to get into
yeah,
the A's here in a minute. Loperfido has been great off the bench. I mean, he pinch hit, I think, yesterday, and he drew a walk. Right. So he's not even. It's not a pinch hitter that's getting outs. I mean, he's either hitting the ball or he's taking the walk. So, top to bottom, Astros offense is looking great. Let's see if it travels. Right. I mean, and real quick to your point about Christian Walker, last year Christian Walker at home was atrocious. He could not hit at Daikin last year, and you're seeing these first 7 games. And I mean, he's all over the power alleys down the line. I mean, he's on a tear, and it's really good to see. That's what we paid him the money for. So let's get into Sacramento
All
real
right.
quick. Real quick before we get into that, tomorrow we will be going pregame a pregame episode before the game since first pitch is at 8:40, and then Saturday and Sunday we will do postgame like we've been doing. But tomorrow will be pregame. We'll post the time when we go on for that. So let's get into Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas, whatever they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So real quick, we decided to do the pregame because we're old and we're probably going to be in bed by the time the game's over.
That's a
So
fact.
or the game's going to end and then we're going to go right to bed because we're old and we like our sleep. Yeah. So um, let me go ahead and pull this up. I mean, I've been on top of my stuff today. So all right, so here we have the pitching matchups for this weekend. Game one tomorrow is going to be Christian Javier versus Jeffrey Springs. Again, Jeffrey Springs is going to be one of those sneaky good pitchers. I know he had a lot of success over in Tampa before he came over to Oakland. Uh, let's see, Saturday is going to be Tatsuya Imai versus Luis Morales. I really don't know a lot on about Luis Morales. And then Sunday, we have Mr. Lance McCullers Jr. taking on Jacob Lopez, who Jacob Lopez has been known to have a couple of sneaky good starts here and there. But I think, this is not going to be, in my opinion, an easy, walk over this team because they're 1-5. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the episode that for whatever reason, Oakland, depending on if they're, they always give the Astros fits because they are a good young scrappy team.
Mm-hmm.
Now they, in my opinion, where they lack is going to be the starting pitching. I mean, so their bullpen's pretty solid. I think the kid that they got in the Mason Miller trade last year with San Diego turned out to be, if not as good, but his stats were a little bit better down the season or down the stretch last season. So, um, yeah, like spoiler alert, I'm not going to be calling for an Astro sweep. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they're going to go back to back
I
sweeps.
think you should run that back. Run that prediction back, man. Just do it. Full
I
send.
don't know.
Full
We'll see.
send on the
We'll
sweep.
see.
So here's my big takeaways. For this series, I think it's going to be pretty obvious, right? Christian Javier has to have a bounce back outing, right? I mean, he did not look good against the Angels at home, right? His fastball is not at the speed that we expected, and then therefore he can't offset that with his off speed because his fastball doesn't have doesn't have the velo that we're accustomed to seeing. So big. It's a big, and I say big kind of loosely, but not really. But it really kind of is a big outing for Christian Javier to kind of set the tone for the rest of his season, right? Because if he goes out here again and lays another goose egg like he did on last Saturday, last Saturday, then I think questions need to start being asked. Like what are we going to do with Javier, right? We are moving towards a 6-man rotation come probably the home series against Colorado after being on the road, right? And so that's a later conversation. But what I'm getting at is that Javier has to have a bounce back outing. He has to go deeper into the game, and not only that, he has to allow less than 4 runs, like he just does. Less than 3 runs would be ideal, right? But he's got to have a bounce back outing. The Emai game on Saturday
Yeah, I was going to
is
say the same for Imai as well.
huge for him, right? Because he went 2 2/3, right? I don't know if you guys read the interviews afterwards. I mean, he was nervous, and I can understand why. First time pitching the bigs, you have this big deal contract that you signed, like you're supposed to be this guy. We saw glimpses of it in spring training, and it's like, hey man, like no offense to KBO or Japanese baseball, but like these guys don't suck over here, right? Like they'll eat
Yeah.
you up. You know what I mean? So those first 2 games, specifically the pitching, is something that I'm really going to key in on and see how they bounce back from their first outings of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I almost kind of, I don't think the pressure on Imai is as high, maybe with Christian Javier. I mean, but you've got 2 starters back to back in this first 2 games of the series that I feel like they need to have a bounce back starts, and I mean, for this series, and then you talk about LMJ. LMJ, I mean, do I expect him to go 7? 7 innings with what, 9 strikeouts every time?
Hmm.
No. But if you can just not completely fall off the cliff, I mean, so but I do think that the start that LMJ had probably went a lot towards building his confidence now that,
Yeah.
he's back full time. But like I said, this series is going to come down to starting pitching, right? I mean, like we know, I mean, we've seen enough of Jeffrey Springs that we know he's a good pitcher. He may not be up there with Garrett Crochet or Hunter Brown or um, Tariq Skubal, but I mean, he's still a good, major league starting pitcher. Like I said, I don't know too much about Morales just throwing game two, but I know that Jacob Lopez can be streaky as far as either he's really good for a couple games or he's really terrible for a couple games. But yeah, I mean, so I think it's going to come down to starting pitching. If you look at stuff on paper, right? I mean, you would think that we would have the outstanding uh, oh man, I'm drawing a
Odds.
blank. Odds. There you go. That it would favor us a lot more to start a pitching. But
Yeah.
I mean, but they still got to go out there and execute pitches and try to stay ahead in counts and try not to have super duper blown up pitch counts within the first few innings. And I think that's going to be key for Javier and especially Imai is what their command's going to be, on the mound. So I guess before we get into our predictions, we are going to bring back the first time for 2026. We have our predictions leaderboards, and as you can see, I'm totally running away with it because it takes a man of high valor to claim a sweep against the guy who came up second place in the Cy Young voting. So, all right, so we did talk to Bryles. Bryles sent us a text saying he's going to go 2-1 A's. PK, what is
Did he
your
say
prediction for
A's?
the A's? Or I'm sorry, nope. Well, I mean, technically A's. If you said go Astros, he said 2-1 Astros.
Yeah.
But
I'm
technically, he's
also
not. Technically,
go
he's not
ahead.
here to defend himself, so we could give him 2-1 A's.
Technically, that's right. If we go back
Yeah.
and reread the text, it does say A's, but no, he did go 2-1 Astros in this series. I damn the Javier game I don't really like. Right, tomorrow's game, mostly because of I don't trust Javier at the moment. I'm not, and I hope that he proves me wrong, but I think I will also go 2-1, 2-1 Astros on this one. I'm hoping for the sweep just for a fan's sake, right? But I think Javier's got something to prove for sure. Like you said, I think there's more pressure on him to produce, given how he did not produce in his first start. So I'll go 2-1.
Okay. I don't have the numbers on how Nick Kurtz did against the Astros in wherever they played last season.
He
I
did
I
well.
know that his numbers against the Astros at Daikin were pretty phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the safe bet is to also go 2-1 Astros. Again, something is telling me to go sweep, but you know what? I'm gonna play for the I'm gonna play for the tie and keep my one
Scared.
game lead.
You're
So I'm gonna
scared.
go 2-1 Astros. Um, but I mean I can't tell you which one they'll lose. I'm hoping they don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, dude, if it could easily, and it's stupid to say, but it could easily go 1-2, right? Like if Imai and Javier don't show up from a pitching standpoint, I mean, you could drop those first two games like pretty quick, and then you got Lance to come in there. And to your point a minute ago, like I don't expect him to go 7 innings every game and 9 Ks and be 2017 LMJ. But dude, I
It'd be a
just
lot
with
cooler if
this,
you did.
it'd be a lot freaking cooler, man. But I think with this offense, the way it's hitting right now, it's hard to not pick them to win the series. Like it really
All
is.
right. I agree, and also too. I mean, your bullpen's pretty well rested too. I mean, you have 4 guys that can go at least 2 to 3 innings out of the bullpen. I
Yeah.
mean, so if you do run into trouble, plus you had the day off today. If you do
Mm-hmm.
run into trouble, your bullpen is well rested. I mean, so if you starting to see early that Javier maybe doesn't have it, maybe you jump, straight to blue ball, or maybe you jump straight to Carlson or Tang. So you have, or Weiss. I mean, so you have the depth there that if you're seeing something like, okay, his whatever his controls off, whatever, you've got that luxury of having basically 4 additional starters in your bullpen.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just really depends on, really, I mean, it kind of also ties into the offense too. If the offense is the offense in the last 5 games, I mean, they'll probably sweep. If it's a mixture of games 1 and 2, and then sprinkle on game 3, then it could be very easily 1-2 A's, or it could be 2-1 Astros. I mean, I guess
Well,
what I'm trying to say is whoever scores the most runs is probably going to win.
that's groundbreaking.
Dynamite drop
Groundbreak
in. There you go. That's why they pay us. That's why they
groundbreaking.
pay me the big bucks to break these games down.
Uh, but I think, man, just to go back, like these guys is just they're putting up runs, man. They're putting up runs. This offense is flowing right now. They're obviously can score, and I mean, until they show that they can't, it's going to be really difficult to pick against them. And not that I want to pick against them, right? But in these series, this is a team you're supposed to beat. You're supposed to beat this team. You're better than this team. I mean, even even in the previous years, where last year you shouldn't have lost the games to the A's that you did, but Nick Kurtz was just mashing at Daikin, hit 4 home runs in the game, right, as a rookie, right? So I mean, it's not going to be easy, but you should still win this series and then roll into Colorado, and we can touch on that on Sunday. But
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say real quick. I mean, these next 6 games between, Sacramento and then you go to Colorado. If this team really has turned back the clock, then you should be at the bare minimum 4-2 in these next 6 games. I mean,
mhm,
so because these are like like you just said, man. I mean, these are the games that like back in that really high golden age of 17 to 21. When you played these teams, you beat the crap out of these teams.
mhm,
And it wasn't like, where that stretch last year where you had a 12-game stretch against like Oakland's, the Reds, League City Little League, and then like
yeah,
somebody else, and then like you went 3-9. So
yep.
we'll
And
see.
look,
We'll see.
after Colorado, dude, after Colorado, you go to Seattle. You go
Yeah.
to Seattle before you come back home. So you got 2 series winnable for sure. I would put Colorado and Sacramento, and then you've got a big early season matchup against Seattle to kind of let them know, let them know, let them know
That's
who's
how you
back in
set the
town.
tone.
Set the tone for the rest
That's
of the
right.
season. So
It's like we
we'll
gave
get
you that
in.
little we gave you last year to win your division
Enjoy
title.
that
That's
banner.
cute.
That's a cute banner you got up there. That's a nice 25-year gap between the last two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
I was gonna say, what are they gonna give away divisional rings out to
probably
the
first 10,000 fans.
what a bunch of
All right, man.
bums.
Well, look, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. As always, man, thank you for all the support. Like I said, don't forget we will be back tomorrow pregame for the Oakland before first pitch, and we'll post on out on X on all of our platforms what time will be going on with the link as always. So make sure you tune in for the pregame episode, and then over the weekend we'll go back to post game. So as always, man, thanks again for tuning in. I'm PK. Homer Chris Browse will be back with us in a few days. This is the Crawford
Yeah.
Chronicles.
Take it easy, guys.
Have a happy Easter. Talk to y'all tomorrow.
Man.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready for some
Oh,
baseball. Man.
I was almost gonna go sweep again.
You should have. You should have not been scared.